All right, all right, all right. Welcome back to another exciting episode of the HHC podcast. I'm your host, Jacob Moreno, and I'm here with my wonderful brothers, Josh and Juan. How are you guys doing?
All right.
I'm tired. That time change really messed me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's pretty early mornings for all of us. Like Juan said, with the time change, if just change things up a little bit, you get a little less sleep than usual, just a little tired, right? Um, But we still come up and do this podcast every day, no matter what, at 10 a.m. So when that clock says 10 a.m. Central, we are on Sundays to do this podcast to the platforms of Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You can make sure you can catch us live uh, again at 10 a.m. Where we do this podcast. But if you cannot catch us during that podcast time, the VODs are also on all four platforms right after the live stream is done. Guys, make sure that you do follow us on Twitter at Heroes Half Court, where we do talk Spurs basketball on the near daily. We love the interaction with the Spurs Twitterverse, and we love having continuity with you guys. So don't be afraid to talk to us. Don't be afraid to have some
Yes.
Spurs discussion with us. But before we do get into this full recap, I have to mention that the Greg Popovich is now the all-time leading, like the all-time wins coach. He has his big 1336. That's the number,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, uh, Pop is crazy, man. Pop is amazing. He's been here for a long time. He's gotten us through 5 championships, and has just seen winning for nearly 2 whole decades. So, I want to hear what you guys have, how you guys feel about Pop, and what maybe some of your favorite moments of him have been in the last couple years. You know? Josh, I'll let you start this off.
Yeah, for sure. I've been watching Pop since '99. It's been a little bit longer than y'all guys. I know y'all guys are younger than me, so I remember watching the finals right '99 with my pops, with my pops. Like it ain't your dad too, like back in the day. And it's crazy that I'm over 30 years old now, right? And I've been chugging along just as Pop has been. I've been right there watching him every year. I'm not gonna say good and bad because it's kind of we haven't really had too many bad seasons under Pop. That I saw. The first couple of seasons I know he had it rough, and then some guy named Tim Duncan fell in his lap, and the rest is history, right? 5 championships later, but it's been fun, man. It's been amazing, and I really don't have much to say because I like Pop is all I know, right? Pop is all I know. To me, he's the greatest of all time, uh, the most winningest coach, in NBA history now, and it's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to see what he's done with all of our players. I don't think I know Tim Duncan is great, right? He would have been good anywhere. There was we almost lost him, to Orlando back in the day. He could have been drafted to Boston, but him and Pop, man, together they were something special, and we gotta thank the Lord that happened, in San Antonio and not anywhere else. So like, I got nothing but respect from my coach, and it's gonna be sad to see him leave. His time's winding down here with us, but I gotta enjoy it while he's here, and I love it, man. And forever I want some nasty, right? Forever that'll be my favorite quote by Pop. And the only thing that I regret is in this time is we could never repeat for my man. I wish we would have got that 13 and 14, but I'm going to take the 5, and I'm going to take all the good that came with Pop's tenure with San Antonio, and I'm forever grateful for that guy.
For sure. Our brother Chris is in the comments. He couldn't be able to make it on the show today, but he'll still be able to talk some Spurs in the comments. But he's just saying that to see how many former players slash coaches came out in support really hammers home his impact on the league. San Antonio is on the
Mm-hmm.
map from the foundation that Pop has helped lay. And yeah, I think that's a huge thing to know, is just how big the Pop tree goes.
Yeah.
Where Pop started, who he learned from, but then like where the entire league has had the influence of Pop and what he's established and how he's done his thing. I can, off of the top of my head, I can think of the likes of Bud, Ime Udoka, James Borrego, three coaches. Who else? Like Brett Brown. He's not a coach right now, or not head coach right now, but just another person that like comes off of that Spurs tree, where it's just like those are like at least three teams at the moment that are very good, and or at least have promise in terms of Charlotte, and they're all coached from a Pop tree, So it's definitely something to see that impact. But Juan, what can you add to this Pop discussion?
Yeah, I was going to talk about like some favorite moment, but honestly, like hearing Pop post game after the game when he broke the record, he touched a little bit on like, he's always like really humble and his humility is like through the roof, but he touched on like this was like a win for San Antonio, like for the city, and like I was already crying as is, but like as soon as he said that, like it just like it meant so much more just to hear it coming from him. Like, he did it. He does everything for this community. We're all like, he really made me feel like, yeah, it's all one community here, and that we're a part of this organization.
That we won too.
Yeah,
got the record too, right?
Yeah, we're all diehards, and like Josh said, like I'm younger. Pop got his first win in 1996. I was born in 98. So like this guy, he's been winning ball games longer than I've been alive. And then Jake's like 12 years old. So Jake didn't start watching basketball until we won in 2014.
He looks like a grown man, but he's a baby.
Yeah. So, I was born after the 2003 championships. That's two championships that I wasn't even alive for. And I was 2 years old in 2005, so I had no idea what was going on.
In 2005, we left y'all's asses at home and we went honking.
Yeah, I was only 7. And
yeah.
So
wait, did you go on? Do you remember? Or I can't remember if you went.
I don't think I went.
And it's funny, a little story. Chris had an afro at the time, right? Our brother Christopher, that he's not here today, but he had an afro. He had a big fro, and the people in San Antonio were calling him Ben Wallace.
Oh,
as we were walking down there are Ben Wallace. Chris was all little with his afro.
Nice.
Just to that point, Pop's been winning our entire lives. Like it's crazy to think. It's sad. It's like it's gonna come to an end one day. So just appreciate every win. Appreciate every like moment he has. People have like it's like kind of been like talked about a little bit. Like he's not as like angry and just like biting like at the media, but I think that's because we're not on national televised games the last couple of years, so it's just the people here in San Antonio he has to deal with. But I also agree, like I think he's kind of simmered down and just kind of more mellow, if that's the word, even though he's still like yelling and getting after the players on the court. There's not as much of like that, like he's like burning the media or whatever. But I love Pop. I always will. You can't separate him and Tim Duncan. People always want to like discredit one or the other. Like, oh well, Pop had Tim Duncan. No wonder he's got like all those wins. Or oh, Timmy only has all these accolades, or like whatever. Timmy was this because of Pop. But at the end of the day, like they're the greatest either way.
Yeah,
Pop's the greatest coach of all time. Tim Duncan's the greatest player of all time. It is what it is.
Yeah. No,
it's just written that way, dude. We don't make the rules.
Exactly. No, it's definitely something
that if they were in a bigger market, they would have had all that backing and the media narratives to push that. And so it's unfortunate we have to live with like people just kind of pushing us off to the side, even though like the numbers, the greatness, it's all there. But
yeah, I don't think I'll ever understand people trying to be like, oh, Phil Jackson's a better coach than Greg Popovich, when Greg Popovich had like one all-time great compared to the 4 all-time greats that Phil had.
Yeah, and to me that's like one of the main reasons. Greg Popovich did it with one team, like that will never ever be like done to me ever again. To stay with one team for 20 plus years and have the amount of wins that Pop has, never. Like Phil Jackson's not close. and he jumped from Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen and those rings to LA with Kobe and Shaq, right? And
like in a couple years. Like it was.
yeah, like I don't even want to hear no discussions. Like don't even bring it up.
Exactly. Chris also commented and mentioned Steve Kerr, which is like to me, I just wasn't even thinking about West names, but yeah, there's another coach in that pop tree that like top of the West right now, and I mean, again, it just it goes to show how much pop has influenced the league, and the things that has come down from it, especially when you start to, like, for me, when I watch Golden State, like within these last couple of years, like seeing that more team ball oriented aspect, that's I think that's the thing that a lot of people don't realize is how much of, like, yeah, there are times when they let Steph just be Steph and shoot, but there are a lot of times when that team is a team ball oriented offense, and they
Yeah,
wouldn't
well,
they wouldn't be doing that
like
if it weren't for.
all the way down to the organizational structure, like Christopher said, like Steph is the guy, and Steph, like much like Tim Duncan, is willing to take a backseat whenever. It's like the humility, like it's preaching like that, like team to your team, and like that's from Pop because like Steph can take the backseat to like Clay if Clay's going off. He let Kevin Durant come in and win a couple Finals MVPs. Like that to me is like, yeah, like you don't really get that unless you have like those base teachings that I believe like stem from Pop, like to just preach to your players, like sacrifice will just help winning. Like your numbers may not be, you may not have all the accolades and the MVPs, but when you have like all the championships, what does it matter?
Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. um and I do kind of want to see what you guys, like, if there is like a favorite moment for you guys. I'll kind of start it off and just say, like, I remember there was one night where in the season that Timmy was our assistant. Pop, like, it like would just, like, he like let go, like did not care at all what was going to happen. And I think, like, after the game, he like kind of talked about it and was just like, "Oh, I didn't really care that I got ejected because I knew these guys were behind me," kind of thing. Um, and it's one of those things to me where it's just like, I always respected how Pop would fight for his players and wouldn't, wouldn't sit, wouldn't stand for anybody to, like, dog the Spurs in that sense. And so then, if that meant that he got ejected a couple times from the refs, then that was like, so be it. He was still just gonna fight for us because he felt like we were getting disrespected at that point. But then he also knew, like, he had his system ready. Like, he knew that these guys behind him, these assistant coaches that he's built up, like, all can, like, just immediately take action and keep us in a nice winning situation. So it's just one of the things that I like will always keep in mind. Is like, man, this guy. I'm sure that even when he's gone, we're still going to be feeling that Pop influence after the fact.
Yeah,
But
because they could probably hear his ass yelling from the locker room.
exactly.
That's probably why.
But do y'all have any moments, any specific moments that y'all got, like, that y'all can remember, or like you keep in your heart a lot?
Yeah, right. Him counting. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
When Pop's on the Riverwalk and he's counting and like they're doing the championship parade stuff, like that's always like the first thing that comes to mind, him counting on his fingers. But like everybody loves like the I want some nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's just there when we were on like the national televised games, they always had like the mic'd up moments. Those were always great. His like him getting after the team or him talking to like Tony or Tim or Manu. I always like in the back of my mind had like always like have this memory of like Pop telling Tony like he's like, "Hey, look, you had a great game today, but like, you know, good players can have great games, but great players have them consistently." Like it's like some type of talk like that. And I was like, I don't know, 10, and that stuck with me then like and that's always been like my like idea and that's what I tell like our young guys when like I'm watching the game, like let's consistently have these games, and I just try to like preach like Pop, but like that's always stuck in the back of my mind. But my favorite moment is him counting on his hands how many rings he's got.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome, dude. And personally, like I said before, I don't think I have a favorite moment. I've just appreciated the everything as a whole, right? I guess my favorite moment is the 20 plus years. I got 20 years of moments that I love him for. So like I don't have really like much to say about that. Like it's just it's too hard for me to pick a certain moment, a certain moment in time that I'll remember Pop for. It's just everything, man.
Yeah. No, I feel that. I feel that. And I mean, Chris brings up a good quote saying that it's the finals. It's supposed to be hard. That's definitely something that I always remember hearing, and I'm like, oh yeah, it just goes to show how ready and willing these guys are for that kind of stuff, you know. Um, but yeah, no, and I think it's great to see everybody on Spurs Twitter, to see other people, not just Spurs Twitter, but like, you know, LeBron and other people in the medias give their flowers to Pop, because he is like the greatest coach, and he has influenced a lot. But you know, uh, we wouldn't have got those wins without the team that we got now. So I think we can start going into how this week has gone.
Well,
Um,
before we do that, I want to say thanks to Rob, right, from Spurs Tube TV for letting us
yeah.
on his channel.
Uh,
Oh yeah.
right. Shout out to Rob from Spurs Tube TV for letting us get on the channel. We had recently were able to get on and collaborate with him to be able to give a little Spurs talk and a little Spurs segment over how we see the like a good comparison between the likes of Trey Jones, Devin Vassell, and Josh Primo. And if you guys want to see that, if you haven't been able to catch that, or if you are coming from that, hello, nice to see you. Glad to see that y'all did catch us on the Sunday. But we did get to go get on his channel to be able to go watch it, or to be able to go just like record a fun little segment. And if you guys haven't caught it, then make sure that you go to SpursTube TV to be able to catch that, and make sure you subscribe to Rob from SpursTube TV once again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
man. That video was awesome, dude. That
Yeah.
was an awesome video. He put it together really well. So yeah, shout out
Yeah.
Rob.
Yeah, thanks for letting us on, and thanks for all the people who commented and the engagements and just talking, and then the people who came over to our channel from that. Uh, trying to grow, trying to grow our connections and just the Spurs community in general. We don't have that big of a media even within our own fans. So, but yeah, thanks again, Rob.
Heck
yeah,
yeah.
for sure, for sure. But yeah, with that, we can get right into the recap. The San Antonio Spurs had gone 2-2 on this week, playing against the Lakers, beating them 117 to 110, then losing to the Toronto Raptors 104-119, beating the Utah Jazz to get that all-time wins record 104 to 102, and losing to the Indiana Pacers 108 to 119. Josh, you weren't able to be on the podcast last week, so I got to get your opinions on the week first, to see how you feel with everything in general.
I mean, it's I'm always out of all y'all guys, I'm the one who gets disappointed the most because I'm always like, hell yeah, we're going undefeated. So like, of course, I look back and I'm like, dang, like, but I say it every time. Every time I look at the schedule and every time I look at our guys and I look at other people's guys, I'm like, we have a chance. Like, we have a chance. We can beat them. We can beat them. We can beat them. I say that every single time, and like it didn't. I feel like it showed like this week because obviously we got two dubs. The Utah one was kind of a. I'm not gonna say a surprise, but like we were down, 15. We were down entering the fourth, and that hasn't bode well for our guys the whole season. But we did pull that one out. But the Lakers, like, we had a solid game against LA. Um, I just I don't know, man. We're there. I know, and I know, right? We're young, and we see it happen. It's always like we can't close games, we can't close quarters, but I'm not really too down on the losses. Like I feel like we're growing. I feel like our guys are getting valuable experience even in losses. So it doesn't really hurt me like real deep. I know, and it should, because I'm not no team tank by any means necessary. I want to win every single. I want to get into this play in tournament that's coming down to the wire. We don't got many games left. We need to start getting some dubs. But like overall as a week, without talking about one game like in particular, I feel like it was all right. It was it it wasn't the best basketball we could have played, but I still think our guys fought hard, and we had a good week to me.
For sure, for sure. Chris, once again in the comments, saying that even with the tough week, even going 2-2, that completing that fourth quarter comeback and getting popped that record makes it a positive week for him. And I think that adds to just what you're saying, Josh, because it's tough to see those two losses, but it's definitely see a lot more positives within the week. But Juan, what can you add to that?
Yeah, just to kind of add on to what Josh was saying, like it was a 2-2 week. Our expected win loss this year is is 33-35, and we're 26-42. So like, yeah, we've dropped games that we should have won, and I'm sure we've won games we should have lost. But like, we just we fail to close out quarters. We kind of just like give games away. We make like little mental mistakes like at the end of games, and things just like fall apart. But if you look at like all the stats and Danalytics, if you watch like the Spurs broadcast, he always brings up like, you know, well, I think we've fallen below like a positive net rating like on the year or whatever, but like we're like right there, and our expected win loss like 33-35. We play 500 basketball, and that's average, you know what I mean? And we have a worse record than what we're supposed to. But like if you just look at the week, it's like an example of like the Utah game. It's like, yeah, we have players that can win ball games. At first, yeah, you take care of LA, it's whatever. You lose to Toronto and you're like, man, like we just need like an extra player. And then you win like against Utah. It's like, oh well, like it looks like we're fine. And then if you really like if we were really a bad team, we'd look like how we would like how we did against Indiana. We had no players out there. Like without DeJounte, Keldon, and Jakob, like that's what a bad team looks like. They're just like you're just trying to find something like offense, defense somewhere in any of those players, those rotational players. I I just think like I kind of feel like I'm rambling a little bit, but like the team is average and we're like missing a piece. And it's kind of like a blessing in disguise that we are losing these games because if we add a player, like, well, we're an average team already, and you have cap space. And if you add a draft pick, like your team will just, it'll take us like, it'll take a step next year if we just win the games we should have won this year.
We're not that far from taking that leap, that big leap.
Yeah. Yeah. Because like the average, like the 33-35, where would that put us at this year? Like, yeah, we'd be like the 9th seed or the 8th seed. Like we'd be fighting for like right there. And then yeah, if that's how we're playing this year and we should be right there, yeah, then the leap next year would just be a natural. You just win those games and look where you're already putting yourself in the playoff race. And then if you add a guy in free agency with the cap space, or if we slip and we fall into the lottery, then you add a guy like that plus development. I mean, look at Keldon in year 3. His numbers after the Derek White trade, after the trade deadline, he's like averaging 19 points a game. Like he's becoming a bona fide scorer. You know what I mean? If Devin can take a leap like that, DeJounte maintains. You add a guy. I, there's hope. I know Spurs fans were like we're not used to like losing or like we. I'm not team tank by any means, but it's like I can see the avenues of like we fight for the play in this year. You get that experience. You because if you look at the Utah game, he kind of felt like our guys like DeJounte, like he dug deep and found something to win that ball game for a pop. Like he was playing for something. And then like you could tell like the guys started to make like winning plays down the stretch, even though it was just for like another regular season win, it was for the record. And Utah didn't want to lose that game. They were getting like really like pumped up and the energy was flowing. And our guys won. Like if we can get to the play-in game, maybe win that first one and try to get into the playoffs, it's invaluable, that experience. And if not, if you don't, then you add another piece and you bank on development again. So I
Yeah,
just
like you're saying, DJ's our guy, and I think that that's a good point that I guess I really never really thought of, the how you say like DJ Duck, because it was him that closed out that Utah game, right? He was hitting everything, and he took that little that stretch, to end that game. He took it over, and that is valuable for our other guys to see our young all-star doing that, right? Like, I think that's a great point. That in itself is a good teaching moment for our young guys. That sometimes you gotta put your head down and go get what you want. You're right. That's nice.
Yeah. I agree with everything that you've been saying, Juan, because like to me it's a thing where it's just like it's a natural development. It's not exactly we're gonna force a way to get us better. We're going to like trade all of these young assets to get 2 superstars and start building a team around that. Like, no, we're naturally building this team from the position that we were put in a couple years back, and this is where we're at now. Which some people might, I think the only thing that people might like be like harsh against is the sense of like the critique being that like we could have been a little bit farther along the rebuild by this point. But I don't think there's a problem with where we're at right now, because we're not at the very bottom of the league. But it clearly shows that we still have the guys that are still developing and like will take that next step. I saw somebody talk a little mess about Josh Primo, and it's one of those things for me. It's like people expect an 18-year-old to be like that impact right away in the first
Brian,
year.
right?
Yeah, well, like, yeah, pretty much saying like Brian Wright tried to make a 4D chess move in picking Primo.
Yeah, I did see that too. I saw that floating around Twitter.
And it's like yeah, okay, you talk trash about the 18-year-old kid who literally looks just as built as everybody else is, but is this much younger than them and has like you can tell that the potential's there for him to be able to do solid. Just because he didn't shoot good does not mean
it's just because he couldn't hit a shot last night, and then people were just dragging that guy.
But it does feel like the last 2 months he hasn't been able to hit a shot. Like,
but did you see that Devin said that like that the rookie wall is real and that the guys are trying to get Primo through it? And dude, he's like you said, Jake, he's your age. You know what I mean? Like, he's just a kid playing with these grown ass men, and he's gonna find his way. Yeah. But yeah, they were dragging my guy. I don't know why. I don't know what the deal is. And to me, he's fighting for minutes as it is. It's not like he's in there playing 20, 30 minutes a night, and then, he's having these nights like that. But it's not a big deal to me. But yeah, some of these guys have taken it a little far, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I still have all the faith for Primo too, because it's not like he's taking like dribbling like the whole shot clock out and then taking a terrible like mid-range like jump shot like a foot inside the 3-point line. Like, he takes great shots. He attacks the rim. The threes, like, they don't fall, but he's in the right spot, and it feels like he takes them when he's supposed to. Like, the ball swings to him. I think there was one play last night against Indiana where he had missed like a couple threes in a row from the corner, and the ball swung to him, and he was in the corner, and instead of just taking the shot, he kind of hesitated and then just tossed it right back out, and it was a turnover, and like they like got like a layup immediately, and Pop pulled him like immediately. And so I think he's still learning, and Pop is still like 100% on him, keeping him from like settling in on those like mistakes and like helping him learn from that. But again, Sean Elliott points out in the broadcast, like, he makes like passes where it's like, oh my gosh, like, how did he, like, that was awesome. And he's a kid. Like, everything you get from him right now is like, oh my gosh, he's a kid. And everything that's not there, you can be like, oh, he's just a kid. So he's got time. I really believe in Primo. I don't think his shot selection is bad. I think his playmaking is there. He turns the ball over, yeah, but I think that's just part of the growth. DeJounte used to turn the ball over all the time when he was younger, and I don't know if there's like a better way of saying this, but I feel like Pop, like Pop beat that out of him. He's like, no, like, we're not doing that.
Hey,
you're not gonna be
man.
He's like, you're gonna be a point guard for our team. You got to protect the ball, and Primo will get there. I 100% believe in him.
Yeah.
And Jake, you said he's as built as everybody. I feel like he's like a skinny ass little kid out there. Like,
I'm saying
that guy gets his man body. He's big, like, he's a big guy, but he's not like a big
Well,
guy.
that's the point that I'm saying is that like he's not your Keldon Johnson just yet, but he's
I
still.
hope he gets that Giannis body, that freaking swole. Like, oh my god,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
I mean he's still got a lot of time to grow, a lot of time to he's not done growing, and that's the thing that's like, I mean, yeah, again, only at the moment 19 years old, right? But came into the league at 18, is now 19 years old. Like I'm not telling you that he's gonna become the same body of Giannis, but you saw what
No, he is.
Giannis, how Giannis got drafted in 2013 at like around the same age, and that guy didn't stop growing until year 4, year 5 into the league at that point. Um, and so it could be the same thing for Josh. He can still grow a couple inches, still be start getting bigger, start building up that muscle and stuff. And it's just like, yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with what I saw from Josh within these last couple weeks.
He
Because
just got to get some of them breakfast tacos in him, and he'll be all right.
exactly. If there's one thing, another person I want to shout out, it's Josh Richardson. That man's been killing it. I think
Yeah.
I think that he's been doing everything that we've asked of him and more. And he's putting a lot of effort, a lot of emotion out there for our team. And he's only been here for so long, so you love to see that kind of stuff. You love to see a guy who bought in and is willing and ready to put his body on the line already. So.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So I got a thing to say about Josh. I'm glad you brought it up. It's kind of like um positive and negative about like our team and like our young guys. But like when you just see Josh make winning plays and like the right play, it's like, oh yeah, that's a guy who's been in the league. Or like that's I'm not gonna say like a complete player, like in the sense if he does everything, but that's like a finished, like that's a product, you know what I mean? Like he's a developed player. And you see him make those plays, and it kind of like I'll say this like about the trade, it kind of helps like lessen like the anger I had for the Derek White trade the more and more Josh plays, because it's like, okay, well, he makes some of those winning plays. He's defense. I've known he's always been a 3-and-D guy, but to just see it for your team, it's like, oh my gosh, like we should just play this guy like all the time.
Dude,
But I was gonna say, in
go
contrast
ahead.
to our young guys, it's like that's what I talk about when it's like, don't give up on Lonnie too early. Don't give up on like some of these young guys, because they're not like finished. I think Josh Richardson's only 28 or 29, but it's like you could just see the difference between Josh Richardson and the young guys.
Yeah, no, I didn't mean to cut you off with that comment, Juan, but I just wanted to put this up here to add to exactly what you're saying. Heals what Chris is adding, which is like helping healing Derek White's wounds, and I mean it's definitely an idea to be able to think about like what Josh could add to the team next year if we want to keep him. Uh,
I
per-
think, dude, personally, I think we should keep him.
Yeah.
And I think
Personally,
if we
I'm on the
draft a
boat.
4, I would start him at the 2. I would start him at the 2, throw Keldon to the 3, and I would obviously if we draft a 4 or pick up one in free agency, that's exactly what I would do. And I really didn't I guess I really didn't look too much into like the Derek White comparisons, but he does make good defensive plays. I thought he was a shooter. I didn't think he was as good defensively as he has been, but he's always like in the right place at the right time. He had a couple steals last night. He had the I think Tyrese Halliburton like tried to no look, and Josh was like right there in the lane, got the ball, threw it up to Jock, right? And Jock had that fast break. I can't remember if it was a layup or a dunk, but he makes like little plays like that. It's not just like once a game; it's like a couple of times a game.
Yeah.
Like the other night when he beat that fool like off the glass, like, and then bam,
Yeah,
in
you said
transition.
steals. He said blocks off the glass, like just pinning shots against the backboard. It's
Yeah.
like, wow.
And then when that fool hit the lane and he threw it, he had them bunnies that I did not know he had. When he threw it with the left, I'm like,
Yeah.
hey man, we got a freaking hooper. Like, where did he come from? I didn't know he was like, I always thought, oh yeah, whenever I heard about the trade, I'm like, heck yeah, we got a good role player. And then he comes and does stuff like this. I'm like, whoa, why don't people want him around? Like, why is he bouncing? Why is he over here in Dallas? And why is he over here? And why is he over here? Like to me, maybe he hasn't fit, but when I watch him play with us, it seems like he's a perfect piece to our puzzle. Like maybe we're what he needed and he's what we needed, because it looks really great right now. You know what I mean?
For sure. To kind of get into that, I know Josh Richardson, like his career has been like very up and down since his Miami days, because he had like signed his little extension with Miami, but then he got traded for Jimmy Butler. Um, and like that sign and trade, and from there, from that year, like he went from Philly to Dallas to Boston. I don't think there was any other teams in between then. And the biggest thing that I had only seen with people, it was his consistency from three. Like he just wasn't a consistent 3-point shooter. Um, and so even if he shot like at a good rate in that sense, even if like he might have ended seasons with a solid 3-point percentage, there are times where he's just in a slump where he just can't knock it down at all. Um,
Well, a
and
lot of players go through
Yeah,
slumps. Not
that's everyone, I
everybody's.
think.
but I mean, either way, like it's just, I guess it was just enough for teams to not want to have Josh Richardson on their team, right? Um, but
Or
either way,
maybe like Josh was saying,
the
like
fit.
well, no, maybe like Josh was saying, like some teams wanted him. That's why they were trading for him. That's why he was bouncing around, because people were like, we want that guy, and then
Yeah.
we said, hey, we want that guy. So
Everybody wants him.
everybody wants him. So
Yeah,
maybe that's it.
maybe. Yeah.
I do think because I love Derek White. He's one of my favorite players. He did everything. He was like all like the little things, and I just can't help but just say, like, I think Josh Richardson is just a better fit for the team. Just the
And
shooting
you
he
know,
brings.
Because
you
I
know
don't
what I
think
think is that benefits him is that I feel like he's doing it like Derek White had the ball in his hands all times, like whenever DeJounte was on the floor, and even sometimes when he was on the floor, they shared the ball. And Josh Richardson's doing it, just running around out there. I feel
Yeah,
like he's doing all the
exactly.
little things, and he's hitting. He's having the dunks, and he's hitting like big shots, and he's doing it with not.
Off the
He does.
ball.
It's not like he's trying to. He doesn't go get the ball like Derek did every single play,
Yeah.
and I think that's helped the team, and I think that's helped him. Like, I don't know, it's been a good fit, and I'm pretty happy with the outcome for both
yeah,
sides, because that people over there in Boston like Derek too. So I think
by
it turned
by
out all right.
by no means do I think Josh Richardson's a bad defender, but I think Derek's probably just a little bit more of a solid defender, right? Uh, I would probably give Derek that edge on the defense, but just like you're saying, I think it comes down to fit, where Josh Richardson has a 3-point shot, a guy who can knock it down and shoot from the outside, whereas Derek's a guy who needs the ball in his hands to kind of set the offense up, you know. And that's two different play styles. That's two different play styles. A guy who can kind of create his shot off ball or just knock it down from a catch and shoot, compared to a guy who needs the ball in his hands to be able to set himself up or to set other people up. You know.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
Derek was a point guard we had at the off guard position next to DeJounte. And
Yeah.
exactly.
and if neither one of them are shooting well that night, then
And it
it's
makes it harder.
yeah, it's a tough fit. And then when Josh is able to just be the off guard like that and do all the little things as well, we should keep him around. I was kind of thinking I hate the fact that like I thought it last night against Indiana because Doug rolled his ankle, but like as soon as like Doug leaves the lineup, I was like, what if we just keep Josh instead of Doug? Like if Josh can give 3-point shooting, and then we add size, yeah, like Josh could be Josh. Our brother Josh had said to start Josh at the two, Josh Richardson. I think he's fine coming off the bench, and just playing like a significant role, as like the two off the bench next to like I guess Lonnie. Um, if you just
And
keep
Josh,
if you keep Devin in the starting lineup.
Yeah, well, the reason I say that is because I've always told y'all, back in the day, whenever we had Derek and Devin and Lonnie were coming off the bench together. Remember, I was like, why don't they play them together? Why? I feel like a lot of good things happen when those guys are in the floor. Like, I still feel the same way. Like, if we could, when DeJounte sits down and then you bring Devin and Lonnie to get like a tandem like together, like that's perfect to me, dude. They're like they both can go get buckets, especially like, and that's another thing, the Derek trade. I'm not trying to bash Derek in any way, but it sucks. Like whenever he left, for whatever reason, Lonnie's picked it up, and if he can continue, and then if
Well,
you bring like
everybody
Devin,
has. The whole team's like offensive productions has been higher since the Derek White trade.
yeah, right, and for whatever reason, it is what it is, right? But if Devin and Lonnie come off the bench together and they run that bench unit with whoever we put around them, like I love it. Like, and the reason I say Josh move him to the starting lineup is because he doesn't need the ball in his hand, and with the way Keldon has been playing, dude, he gets to the rim and he's making excellent decisions, right? He's passing when he needs to pass, he's scoring when he needs to score. If we just put a guy like Josh out there to make some good cuts and take shots when he's open, I love the idea of those two guys coming off the bench and playing against other guys, 6s and 7s.
No. When you say it like that, I agree, because that was my idea for this year, was to slide like Derek to the bench to start the year. Slide Derek to the bench and like have like a Derek, Lonnie, and Keldon to the bench, because I wanted like DeJounte to just have shooters around him with Devin and Doug, and then like I don't know who would be at the 4, but that was my thing. I wanted DeJounte to run the starting unit with shooters, and I wanted just Keldon and Lonnie to just come off the bench and just start like terrorizing benches.
Right. And now Keldon, right, that guy's a shooter too. So that's just he's just out there with DeJounte too. So like if Josh can shoot and Keldon can shoot, and when we get Chet, I'm just kidding, right? But whoever at the 4, like maybe they're a shooter, and I don't know. I just like the idea of Lonnie and Devin playing together, and I've always said that I like when they're out in transition. I just like them as a little off the bench marriage, dude. They freaking work together, and I like it.
Yeah. I wanna say this, that Josh and Devin to me have like very similar play styles right now. You can see where Josh is more along in his career, where he has a more like offensive bag compared to Devin. But to me,
in the 8 games Josh is playing with us, he's averaging 36% from the field, and he's shooting 43% from 3. But like I think Devin's a better, like, has an offensive game better. Like package.
I'm just saying that like Josh Richardson's more along in his career. Like you can just tell that he's just a vet at this point, whereas Devin's still young. And so like to me it's like I don't really mind either or, if Devin's starting or if Josh is starting. It doesn't really change it to me, because they just both like in the same field of player right now. Like what Josh brings to the table is what Devin brings to the table. They both do a lot of the similar things. I will say Josh makes more defensive impact plays. He has the blocks, he has the steals. Devin every now and then gets his steals, but he doesn't necessarily get too many, and doesn't really have the blocks. Still, shout out to that tomahawk dunk that he had against Indiana. That was nasty. It was crazy. But Chris also wanted to add his opinion, saying that Josh can definitely replace Doug in terms of the shooting / vet presence. And yeah, I mean he does add the defense that Doug does not have. And I guess I wouldn't necessarily. I don't think there's anything, because it's not like you're losing size if you put Josh there at the 4 compared to Doug.
No, I don't think Chris was referring to putting Josh at the 4, but regardless, we need to get better defensively.
He's just saying that Doug is not a power forward for us.
Yeah.
We need to get better. We did start Josh at the 4 against Utah, right?
I thought it was Devin. I think it's Devin that we started at the 4.
Well, in that sense, we still started Josh we put Josh in the starting lineup over like when Doug was out, right? I didn't get to see the first quarter. I didn't get to like necessarily see how that lineup looked. But do y'all have like was there anything special about that? Like just seeing Josh out there compared to Doug?
Well, that's kind of what I had like alluded to, where it's like that game going into the Indiana game with not having Doug, it was like, if Doug's 3 is not falling, then you don't need to play him. Anyways, we're not a good defensive team. If we had 9 great defenders and Doug was the one guy on the court, that'd be one thing. But we're just not a great defensive team. So yeah, like replacing him with a little bit more versatility on defense with Josh, it does like help like when the other teams are playing to like that with 4 out wings as opposed to like 2 bigs that kind of throw us around.
As opposed to Toronto. We have not talked about that Toronto game too much, and I think I said it last week, and I'm gonna repeat it again, that Toronto will probably always kill us with that size while we have the team that we have, because that like
to me, it wasn't even the size, dude. For 3 quarters, we played great basketball, and then for whatever reason, they were on fire. Like then, I think it was
dude,
Precious hit a three, like two
Yeah.
threes, and then
we
passed
could,
out, hit a
but
three. Like they just
we
like
could
boom, boom,
barely
boom,
like
and it was
there
like
there
this,
were
like quick.
times where it just felt like those guys could just, if they ever wanted to, they could just beat us in the paint, or all they had to do was just like get 3 of their 6-8 guys to be in the
Well,
paint to get a board, and
It
it's
was
like
just a 3 ball to me, dude. The 3 ball just killed us in that game.
right, but to that point, they were saying during the broadcast, Toronto is one of the worst 3-point shooting teams in the league,
Yeah, and
and
then
teams have been
boom.
and teams have been going into zones to force them to shoot, and we started to do that, and then Precious Achiuwa starts banging threes, and I think some of that has to do with we're not the best defensive team, or it's felt like that the second half of the season. Our defensive rating is like 18th or something like that in the league, so we're still kind of like middle of the pack, but it just feels like teams just always have guys going off against us or like getting their way, or they have above average shooting from 3 that night. It just feels like it's a product of our team at this point. Even though like other teams go into zones and Toronto fails to shoot from 3, we go into a zone and now all their 4s and 5s are starting to hit 3s from range. And that Toronto game was frustrating because it was like you couldn't get a rebound because they were throwing us around, and then to cap it off to end the game in the fourth quarter, they just started hitting every 3. That was
Mhm.
that was frustrating. It was a frustrating game, and then the Fred VanVleet comments from the Toronto championship parade a couple years ago were like
Ah.
resurfacing, and that was making. I just wanted to. I don't advocate for any injuries, but like if that guy's going to the basket and he's like talking all that trash, then like do something. Give him a hard foul or two. The type of shots he was throwing up, it did surprise me. He was like knocking. He's a good player, I guess. To give him credit, he was knocking down some crazy shots, and he was letting it fly like all over the place. But I don't know, stop it or something. I'm sick and tired of guys like talking trash about Pop or like the Spurs, and then our guys like dapping them up after games.
Yeah.
yeah, no. Freddie is a bona fide all-star though, so I mean I understand the frustrations, but he is definitely he's definitely got himself to where he is now without like a lot of the work. And yeah, for sure, Juan
Yeah.
wants the nasty.
Oh my
That's
god.
that's what I've been asking for all season. Like I'm just sick and tired of teams punking us and like getting away with talking mess, and then we can't really back it up
Hey,
because
it's like
we're not a winning team.
last night we saw a little bit of it. Remember we were talking about Zach Collins. We're like, man, I like that fool. Like he's just he'd be talking shit when he needs to talk it, and then he'd be
Yeah.
whatever. Remember he got boomed on,
Yeah.
and then like
I have no idea who that guy is. That
he's
guy
a
from India.
rookie. He's a rookie, and then like later on in the game, he fouled him at the rim, and then he was talking that trash to him, and they win. They gave him like double text or whatever. But
Yeah.
maybe it's Zach. Maybe Zach just needed a
Yeah, because
pop Fred one time. Pow.
instead of just letting the guy dunk on him again, Zach he went up and contested it,
Yeah, he
and
did.
then he let him know. He probably said something like, "Stop! You're not doing that again, like on me, like," which is good. Like let them know,
Yeah.
which I think is like it's good. I don't want our guys like just talking trash and like getting in people's faces for no reason. But if they're talking to you and getting in your face, like get right back, go right back at them. I don't know.
Not everybody could be a Tim Duncan, right?
Yeah,
Tim Duncan would
just
Yeah.
kill them with just playing the game. But
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I like what you brought up, Josh. Zach, he said something. He got like I don't even know what he could have said. It was really quick. The guy was still on the ground.
The
when,
guy was
like,
on the
they were-
floor and he said something. Yeah, he got up quick and turned around and got in Zach's face. So
Yeah,
I mean, he had to say something pretty good. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Juan, I remember last week you were talking a little bit about the Indiana game and just saying like there were a couple plays that you were looking out for. Was there anything that like stood out to you in terms of like their team?
You had been talking about like wanting to trade for Jalen Smith when he was with Phoenix, the Thad Young Jalen Smith swap. And I was like looking at the box score a little bit and some of his stats like throughout the week prior to our game against Indiana. he's had some decent games, and he could space the floor. He had some decent shooting games as well, like from three. He didn't really like impress me much when we played, but that's kind of because he was overshadowed by that guy. Like, what was the other guy's name? That guy was jumping out of the gym. His
Yeah, I don't
hops,
even know.
He had a
super.
lot of putback dunks, didn't he?
Yeah, he was he
I
was
want
kind
to
of
say
was
it
it that
was Isaiah Jackson.
Isaiah Jackson? Yeah, that guy was jumping in. It kind of overshadowed the Jalen Smith think. Yeah, Jalen Smith only had 6 points, 11 rebounds. Which, if you got that for Thaddeus Young on the team we have now, he'd be playing like
Four
a four.
blocks.
Yeah, he'd be playing the 4 and the 5. He had 4 blocks. You said.
Yeah, 4 blocks.
Oh, see, I didn't even really like notice or feel the blocks, but definitely he was doing it. But we've been running a couple of like Zach Collins, Jock Landale lineups, like 4 and 5 lineups, like with Zach at the 4, and I've liked what I've seen out of it. I don't know why we went away from it yesterday when Indiana was jumping all over us and
Mm-hmm.
and doing that. That was kind of frustrating,
Hey,
but
and Zach has picked up his shooting. Like he has a nice outside shot, man.
yeah. So if I just want to give credit to Jake. Jake was asking for this Jalen Smith guy all year. And if we would have traded Thad Young we wouldn't have got a first round pick. Obviously, that would have been the piece. Would have been Jalen Smith.
We actually, because I mean the trade talks were like Thad Young for Jalen Smith in this year's first round pick. It's just
Would have been like his
this
30th pick.
Which would
yeah
have
like
been
a
the
28,
end of the pick,
28,
yeah.
28, 29
Yeah.
type of pick from Phoenix.
Yeah.
But
So I don't know. Zach at the 4. Chris says in the comments, Zach at the 4 is exponentially better than the 5. Which
Yeah.
I agree. Zach is just, I think, just coming off of injury. He's still just trying to catch himself. It helps him to just not have to be the
To
main.
go out there and bang with those fives.
Yeah, with everybody on the court, because we
Mhm.
do kind of ask him like to do Jakob's job. Like, you have to bang with this guy, but you also have to come help and block this shot, and you also have to come like out rebound this guy, and it's all in one possession. And when we put the size out there, I just think that Jalen Smith would have been like a good fit. Maybe you could have just started Zach at the 4, or like move some things around where you have like a couple of 2 big lineups. But yeah,
And that's I mean because I think the same stuff that you're saying with Zach, you attribute that to Jock too. Jock is he has the size, but by no means is he like a crazy defensive guy. Sorry, excuse me. And so when you are able to put both of those guys out there, then it alleviates that pressure. It alleviates all that pressure to say you're the one big out there. You need to get the boards, you need to get the blocks, you need to like protect the paint. Now it's like, hey, y'all two have this responsibility to be in the paint, to like have yourself situated and have that paint presence, instead of just the one person. And I like that. I like that idea because it doesn't. I feel like you can't necessarily go wrong with having that size if the mobility's there. Which I think on the offensive end, the mobility is there for those guys. They move the ball right. They're not necessarily too slow. Jock can make a lot of the right decisions. A lot of crazy passes and stuff like that. That if put in the right position, those guys can definitely succeed like that. I guess the only
Jock had a really good game against Indiana. He had his career high. He had 26 points, 2 assists, 7 rebounds on 12 for 15 shooting. He only went 1 from 4 from 3, so it feels like there could still be nights where it's an even higher output. Because like he gets his buckets at the basket, like at the rim, they're like easy chippies, and then he can space the floor like that. He had a comment. He said like he wants to be in San Antonio the rest of his career. He said that last night after the game.
Yeah, he did.
He said him and his fiance or wife.
His fiance loves San Antonio. He said that he would love to be here for the rest of his career.
Yeah, and so even though he's a little bit older than like what you would like expect from like a rookie, because he's played like professionally overseas, it's still his first year in the NBA. There's still some time to grow. So I'm excited. Maybe we can keep him for like the next 4 or 5 years, because I wouldn't mind keeping him if he could space and be like a big. He didn't have to be like a Jakob or a starter or anything like that. But I like his game. He had a couple of games to start the year off where he came in and was just firing away, hitting the 3, like, and it's like, oh my gosh, like, why haven't we been playing this guy this whole time? And then it kind of like fell off. Maybe he hit like a wall or two, like a rookie wall or something like that, if you could say that. But I like what I've seen from Jock. Like when it's right, when it's going, it's like, man, this is perfect for our team. Spacing.
I feel like he's like, say, because I thought the same thing. I was like, dude, I would love to keep Jock around for however many years we decide to keep him, but like he would be one of those like game to game bigs. All right, this game, they're going small, and if we have Jock at the floor, you know what I mean? Like just to space the floor. Plus, he's not afraid. Like he does go down there and bang like every now and then. He had a couple of like rebounds and putbacks last night, so he's capable of getting his buckets in the paint. Yeah, so like I would like to keep him, and then like when they're not, real big on the inside, then we could afford to play Jock big minutes, and I feel like he can produce against, whoever's out there.
Yep.
Yeah, no, there's a lot that you can use with a guy like Jock, and his skill set is definitely something that's not necessarily seen around the NBA too much with your bigs. So I definitely think it's beneficial for us to keep him. I know Drew Eubanks was like that third center that we had for a long time. That like we just like anytime that we needed him to come in, he would like put in his work and stuff like that. And I definitely think. Definitely not the same player at all, like in terms of what they bring to the table. But I think Jock can kind of do the same thing if unless if maybe he does surprise us, maybe he does come out next year and is like, yeah, I'm this backup five, I am the number 2 center. But at the moment, I definitely like the idea of Jock being our third center, being that guy for the future. Shout out to Drew Eubanks, who got his third 10-day from the Blazers, by the way.
I was just about to ask, is he still in the Blazers? Because we play them this week.
Yeah, he just got another 10-day from the. We do not play the Blazers.
We better get that next week,
right?
We play the Blazers next week.
Oh man!
But it's at home or it's away?
It's away. It's away.
Oh,
the tribute video for Drew Banks.
We can have all the reaction videos.
Yeah,
Drew Banks.
I wouldn't mind.
Drew Banks' 10-day ends on the 22nd, and we play Portland on the 23rd.
Okay, see, that's why I was hoping it was this week. I was trying to check the schedule because that's I would like to play against him. I hope he can get a contract, like more stability from Portland. I mean, there's only so much longer in the season. I don't know if that's just a way to keep him on the roster if they don't have enough roster spots, but poor Drew Banks going over there, they're losing by 50 every day.
No kidding, they're on a huge losing streak right now. So
yeah, they are.
But we were talking about the Indiana game. We were talking about Jock, but I think it's only fair that we do bring up the other side, the other very notable player on Indiana, which is Tyrese Halliburton. He had put up 19 and 10 on 8 for 17 shooting. There's one thing that I will say. I saw that jump shot the other night, and I was like, "What the heck is that?" Like, I don't know about that, but
which is the concern, right? People thought that jump shot wouldn't translate to the NBA.
Yeah,
that was like the concern coming out of college.
And it has, and to me, like
he's like a 40% from 3 shooter.
People. I think people these days put too much emphasis, like, oh my god, it's ugly, but then like it just works. Like some people it works for. I had a chance to watch Sean Marion play in the NBA for X amount of years, and I said the same thing. That shit is ugly. And then he hit it seemed like he hit every shot. So
yeah,
jump shots don't even bother me these days.
And I think it's because like some of like the defensive changes, like the rules, like you can't be in people's faces, you can't get underneath them. Like these guys are able to just take their jump shots with whatever form they have. It doesn't have to be like a traditional like over the top.
Look at LaMelo's jump shot. That guy got a funky sideways shot too.
They don't always have to just shoot over the top of somebody, because you can't really be in a shooter's face anymore without like some type of flop or foul, like whatever the case. And so I know Jake's gonna talk a little bit, but like it is kind of crazy to just think about like what draft position was he compared to Devin, and like the type of player we could have selected. Could we have picked him first, or was he?
I think he went before Devin, right?
No, he went after Devin. Like the thing.
Devin?
So all right, so going into our next thing, there's been a lot of talk around Devin versus Tyrese Halliburton because they're both
even in our circle. You said it.
yeah,
You
even
said it.
in our circle. Like this is through Spurs Twitter. This is through our just us four brothers, like, you know, talking on a day-to-day basis. Like there's been a lot of talk between what the futures of Tyrese Halliburton can be versus the futures of what Devin Vassell can be. And a lot of that comes from the draft, because the San Antonio Spurs had drafted Devin, I believe, with the 11th pick in the draft, and Tyrese Halliburton went with the 12th pick
Well,
to the
back to
Kings.
back.
So it's a thing where people see Tyrese Halliburton play and they're like, oh, this guy is he's going to be way better than Devin Vassell. Why didn't we draft this guy? And so, you know, like there's just a lot of talk. There's a lot. I personally, y'all know me by now. I am the number one fan of Devin Vassell. I have my hashtag Devin Vassell fan club. Things like that like I'm really high on our guy Devin Vassell. It's not to like to detract Tyrese Halliburton, but I definitely am on the side of, I think Devin's career can be a trajectory better than a guy like Tyrese Halliburton. But Josh, I know you also have a couple different thoughts, and I want to hear what you have to say about that stuff.
Yeah, it kind of sucks that you not that, like, I don't want to come off as like, oh yeah, Tyrese is better than Devin, but like I did say, like, do I think that Tyrese will have a better career than Devin? And like I have to say, yeah, like, and that's not a knock on Devin. Like I hope that I'm wrong. Like, and I think that's fair to say. Devin's on our team and Tyrese is not. So I hope that I'm wrong. I hope Devin becomes better than him. But like I just like Tyrese Halliburton. He's like, so, and I told you, like, I like that archetype of the like big point guards, and like that's just what he is. And I know one of your when we talk, you're like, well, Devin has a higher defensive potential. Like Tyrese Halliburton is top 5 in steals. Like, and that's one thing that you keep saying is a knock on him. Like, well, he doesn't have the defense that Devin has, but he's top 5 in steals. So like, what is it? Does he play defense or does he not play defense? And then, yeah, he has a funky shot, but he knocks down his threes, right? You know, no matter what it looks like, he knocks him down. And yeah, last night he had a couple of funky passes. He had a couple of I talked about it in the no look that was unnecessary, and Josh Richardson just like took it the other way. Like he does. He's a young player. He's growing, but like he still had a double, you know. And if we were to have taken like Tyrese, say we would have taken Tyrese, that potentially would have meant no Primo this draft. Like if we're going to draft the point guard the next year anyways, then, you know, why wouldn't we have gotten that Tyrese? And I know like our teams were, you know, I mean, going from year to year, we look for different things, but I don't know who else we could have picked in Primo's spot this year that would have made a big difference or would have made any difference at all. But I mean, it is what it is. We got Devin, we got Primo,
well,
and
I
I'm
think
fine with that.
With Tyrese, if we would have drafted Tyrese, yeah, you probably don't pick Primo, and you probably get rid of Derek White still, because if Halliburton shows up and plays the way he does, it's like, all right, well, now you have another guard.
And to me, like, we talked about it in our group chat a while back when we were having these discussions. Like, and like I said, it's not a knock on Devin, but his career high, he added a couple weeks ago, and it was the 22, right? I believe it was the 22. And then like you saw like Tyrese drop like, and I don't know what he dropped, like 30. He like took over the game. And I don't know, like if we were to have a guy to come out and take over a whole game, like it kind of makes me feel bad just like lobbying for this guy because we have Devin on our side. But like it's just how I feel. Like I said, I hope I'm wrong, but I like Tyrese Halliburton as a player. Like big like shout out to Tyrese. I like the guy.
Yeah,
for whatever reason.
I definitely don't think that there's anything wrong with saying that some guy is better than another person. There's nothing like there's no like, we're rooting for our guys to be good. We're rooting for our guys to succeed. It doesn't mean that saying another player is better than them to like detracts from what our guys bring to the table. And so I don't think there's any reason for you to be like to try to be waning against this thing, because it's just like, yeah, you just feel like Tyrese is a better player, and if you think that he's gonna have a better career, that's just how you feel, and there's nothing like, I mean, that's just the basketball mindset. When you see a better basketball player, you feel like, you see your better basketball player kind of thing. And I mean, in that sense, I'll start my rebuttal, right? I'll start saying, you were talking about the steals, and it's cool to see that he does have top 5 in steals, but he's also a 6'5" point guard who doesn't have nearly like the same opponent field goal percentage that Devin does. I don't have the numbers on me right now, but it was clear when you look at those numbers that Devin can test shots and he impacts shots that, like, yeah, you're not going to get those numbers in steals and blocks, but you're going to, like, if you look at that number and you see that when Devin's guarding a guy, his opponent's field goal percentage is a lot lower than what Tyrese Halliburton's is. That shows you that even right now at their point in their career, Devin is still making a very good defensive impact. It's just he's just not getting the steals and the blocks, and that can also be an impact. Like if Devin is actually getting the steals and causing turnovers, that changes things too. So it's not to discredit that Tyrese Halliburton does get those steals. It's just to add that Devin still does have those things that he has, like the potential, the archetype or whatever that he has to be that much of a better defender than Tyrese Halliburton is. And that's just, again, talking about the potential. In terms of the scoring output, the one thing that I'll always say is Tyrese Halliburton went into a position where they gave him a lot of touches. They let him be able to make his mistakes from day one in Sacramento. And even with Indiana, they're not going to take touches away from Tyrese Halliburton. They're going to let him have the ball in his hands almost all game because they want him to get better. But like, they want him to get better as a point guard. They have only Tyrese Halliburton in that sense to be their future, whereas we have a lot of these other guys that fit around like differently, that need the ball in their hands compared to Devin, that change what Devin can put out offensively.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that point. But in a game like last night, it has to show, like, with our players out and their players out, to me, like, it was the Tyrese versus Devin more.
It should have been
last game. You know, do you know what I mean? And Devin, yeah, I think he ended up with more points than him, because what did he end up with? What did Devin end up with? 19, right?
Give me 1 second. Like Devin Vassell ended up with 19, 3, and 7, and Tyrese ended with 19, 10, and 2.
Yeah, see, and 7 points came like in the last 2 minutes. Like it's like Devin did not show up until like we were losing, and he hit the 3, and then he had the back-to-back drives, and I'm like, hey, Devin, it would have been nice to go at these fools like this the whole time, because I always tell, like I told you, I feel like Devin is too long, and like he's not slow by any means. He's not like a Kyle Anderson type player. He's pretty quick when he gets the ball, and he throws them behind the backs. You've seen it. He does little spins. Like, he's capable, but he just like doesn't do it. And he tried, like, it was like a little too late last night. He scored like boom, 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 and he ended with 19, so it looks good. But I'm like, well, where was that, man? Like, you could have been going at these guys next all game. This could have been the Devin game. Like, it could have been. I know it turned out to be the Jock game. Jock came out of nowhere and dropped his career high. So, I mean, it's still all good, you know. It's a learning experience. But I wish that Devin would have just balled out, you know.
Yeah, no, and if there's one thing that I'll say, it's that Tyrese Halliburton's used to having the ball in his hands all game, and Devin Vassell is a player that we talk about and that we have put in the position to be the off-ball player, to be the guy who does not necessarily play with it like as a primary scorer, and so. You're asking Devin to take a huge jump in one singular game compared to Tyrese Halliburton, who is already doing the things that he did last night.
Yeah.
So I just got done like doing a little bit of a deep dive. I think the trade deadline was February 8th, but that's what, like I said, as the basis, like both players averaging points, you know, what their averages are.
We talking about before and post? You're gonna throw out some before and post?
Well, just like the last like since February 8th, like Tyrese
Mhm.
Halliburton's averaging basically this whole time he's been with Indiana, 19 points, 9.5 assists, 4.7 rebounds in 12 games, and he shoots 50% from the field and 43 from the three. Like those are great numbers. Those are like unfortunately those are like DeJounte numbers. You know what I mean? And he's just a second year player. He just doesn't have to rebound, I guess. Um, and then Devin is only
Yeah,
averaging
he has Miles Turner down there.
yeah, 13.8 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 2.8 assists in 13 games. I like would argue like yeah, Tyrese has the ball in his hands like more and he has more opportunities, but they've both taken I think it was 160 field goal attempts for Halliburton to 163 to Devin. Devin's only shooting 43% from the field and 34% from three. So I mean, like at the very like basic like comparison and argument, I mean Tyrese Halliburton is just a better shooter. He shoots better from the field, which like I I want to say like if you give Devin those same opportunities, he would like be able to like have those averages like around 20 points per game the same way Halliburton does. But he's had like a couple of duds like over this stretch, which is why his average is only 13 points a game because they're around the same thing. Like they have 20 point games, 19, 18 point games. They're the same like things. But then Devin has 8 point games, 5 point games. And I know, yeah, he's playing with DeJounte. He's playing with like Keldon most of these games. Like the the effort's not there, but he's had the same amount of field goal attempts. So it's like he's still chunking up the same amount of shots. Um, I I I lean more on the side of Jake, where it's like eventually Devin will be like at a position or a point where he's just like a 20 something point per game guy and he adds defense. Now, they'll never be like direct comparisons because if Halliburton is 19 and 10 or 20 and 10 with 10 assists, that's 40 points. And if Devin's only dropping 20 points, then it's like one guy has a lot of burden, which is this like the whole argument people have like for just players nowadays. If LeBron's like
Yeah.
averaging 28 points and 10 assists, and he's a better player than Michael Jordan, who averaged 35 points and 4 assists. And it's like that's a whole different argument. I just think, yeah, Tyrese Halliburton is more along, more developed, more like I don't want to call him a complete product because I'm not gonna like put like a ceiling on him, like he's like a Tyreek Evans. Like this is it for him. You know what I mean? Like he's at his limit. But he does average like 38 minutes a game since he's been traded to Indiana. And I don't nobody on the Spurs, as long as Pop's the coach, will ever average 38 minutes a game. And so let alone Devin, who's like your fourth or fifth option at this point. Um, I think Devin can get to a point where he's a complete product. I had talked about this last week, Josh. I don't know if you heard. I we like talked about like reevaluating our players. I kind of brought my evaluation down on Devin a little bit. I was expecting more of a defensive impact if his shots aren't falling. I expected him to stop people more, to stop fouling so many people on drives, to get more deflections, to get those things that Derek White was doing. Um, but I still think Devin can get to that point. He's only 21. It's only his second year. Look at the jump Keldon made this year compared to just from the start of the season to now, let alone last season when
Mhm.
Keldon he would drive to the basket and you'd be like, well, that's a charge, or like you already saw it coming. And then now Keldon is driving to the basket and mid like layup just dumps it off to Jakob for an easy dunk. And it's like if Devin can make a jump like that, a leap like that, which I believe he can, there's evidence of DeJounte, Keldon, Kawhi, players like that who over the years have got to that point, which was the argument I had made with Jake on Jake's behalf against Josh in our discussions, like in our text messages, was like, look at the jump Kawhi made. I know he had Hall of Famers or whatever, but like just a bona fide like score he became with time. And it was slowly like 8 points a game, 12 points a game, 16 points a game. And even when he got to the 20 points a game, we were like, wow, like we didn't think he'd get this far. And then he took it another level. I don't know if Devin will take it another level. I think that 20 point per game, like just bona fide, you just get the ball to him, like coming off a screen or doing something, and like he can get you a bucket. But I think Halliburton's a better player right now. It's going to be hard to compare them, but if you give them the same opportunities, I think Devin can get there, especially if he gets up to 40% from three, like Halliburton. Um, then his numbers they're going to look pretty similar, like as far as like offensive output.
Yeah.
I have another group chat with me and my buddies, and they say a lot of the same things that I say, like that Devin he gets beat a lot and exactly what you said, like because I thought whenever we talk about Devin, the first thing like that always comes to mind is well defensively Devin could be really good, and for whatever reason he does foul a lot. He's always trailing and tries to grab the ball from weird angles, and then he gets put in bad positions, but. Like I do hope I'm wrong because I do like Tyrese Halliburton, but we have Devin Vassell. We do not have that guy. I want Devin to be better because I want the San Antonio Spurs to be better. So, yeah, I hope I'm wrong, but probably not.
Well, it's still good. It's still good to see to have that differing opinion. It's not like we all have to think that Devin is going to be.
I just wanted to draft this guy. It would have been nice to draft this guy, and it just
of course
it kind of bugs me now because I'm like we don't need a point guard, but we took one the next year anyway. So that's why I'm just like, well, damn, we should have just did.
Yeah,
I think Josh, I think Tyrese Halliburton and Josh Primo's games are similar. Like as in. They can be point guards. They can be like your primary playmaker, but they like Halliburton shooting 40% from three. Like he can be a scorer anywhere on the court. You don't have to have the ball in your hand. Mm-hmm. Which that's kind of the feeling I got. I was impressed with his game a little bit. He wasn't like blowing me away with the plays he was making, but like he'd make the right pass.
He hit big shots too, and he almost hit us with that deep ass three that didn't count. Remember?
Yeah.
Shot clock violation got him barely point whatever, but he hit shots he just hit big shots.
That's what I was gonna say. It felt like he wasn't like killing us all game, but then like at the end of the game, he hit like a couple, like a three and like another like shot where it's like, oh, like he put the game away. I was like, well, that's all you need. You just need a player who could put games away, and for him to do that, 21 years old is outstanding. But I was gonna say like if you had Halliburton next to DeJounte, I think it would work fine because of Halliburton's ability. Yeah, his shooting, like his ability to just be a scorer. He probably wouldn't be doing like the same playmaking ability because you would need DeJounte to have the ball in his hands. But same thing with Primo. I think Primo would be a scorer like first because you already have a guy like DeJounte. But yeah, I was gonna say
that was a fun little segment.
Devin's like per 36 this year he averages 16 points a game like already. I don't know what Halliburton's like numbers are like per 36 minutes, but he already averages over like 36 and that's where he's at right now. So like Devin's numbers are fine like in his limited role, just like flat out he's just got to hit his shots. Like I know his 3-point percentage kind of brings like his overall percentage down because he shoots 34%, but if he can get up to 38, 40% from three, like his numbers are going to look better. And same thing with like Primo. It's like, I don't think he takes bad shots from three. They just don't fall. And if you're not good enough, then you're not good enough. But like, I believe he can get up there. His numbers will look more respectable, I think, because even over like the last like 13 games, whatever it was since February 8th, he's more like around like the 27, 28 minute range. And then on some nights he gets up to like 35 or 36, where Halliburton was like averaging like 37. He has 34 as his lows and 40 minutes was his highs. Like he has more opportunities over there, but he's much more efficient. So it's like you can't use that against like in your argument for Devin. Like he has more opportunities, but he's also more efficient, so it's better.
Making more of the opportunity.
Yeah, so that's just where it is right now. Hopefully Devin can be better. And for the sake of the argument, I guess I hope Halliburton gets worse the rest of his career.
For the sake of the argument, I hope
he's going to come to San Antonio.
Never mind.
For the sake of the argument, I hope both of those guys just end up becoming superstar players, best of the league type guys. It'll be great to see two lower end lottery talents show that they should have been top picks in the draft kind of thing. But yeah, that was a really good discussion to see where Josh is at on Devin Vassell and even where Juan is at on him, as well as to see like, hey, there are other guys in the league that show just as much promise as our young guys do too. So if not more in that case, to Josh's point. So it's always just nice to be able to point out those other young guys in the league, because that's the future. That's the future of the NBA, and it's going to be what we're going to be watching for the next 10 years. So with that though, we still have another week ahead of us to play basketball. We have 3 games in this week to finish out this homestead. On Monday, we'll be playing against Minnesota. On Wednesday, we'll be playing against OKC. And on Friday, we'll be playing against New Orleans. So, guys, it's a big week. It's a big week ahead of us. We just came off of 2-2. We're only 1 game behind the Pelicans. And there's to me not a single game that you can lose. But what are you guys thinking?
That's it. We can't lose.
Yeah.
And we have to beat New Orleans, like no ifs, ands, or buts. We play them 2 times in the next 2 weeks. They both need to be dubs. If you are a team playing, if you're team tank, whatever, dude. I don't want to know what you think, but there's benefits to both, right? If we lose, if we win, but personally, I don't want to lose. I want DeJounte to will us into that playing game, and like Juan said, I want to win. I want to win that 9-10 battle. I want to get in. So that's just where I stand. So these next games, they're all important, and it's coming down. It's crunch time, and I feel like our guys feel it. Hopefully they start playing some better basketball, because like we mentioned before, a couple of these games, they've just gotten away from us. We've been in the game and they just gotten away from us. So if we could, turn some things around and put some dubs together, man, that's what we need to do.
For sure. I'm gonna go through these. I'm gonna go through these injury reports real quick before we continue to talk about the week. But against the Minnesota Timberwolves, they have from March 12th, so yesterday, Jared Vanderbilt and Patrick Beverly were day to day. So there's a chance that those guys are out. There's a chance that those guys are in. If we play against Pat Bev, that'll be kind of fun to see how we do against him from his defense. The Pelicans have CJ McCollum out due to health and safety protocol. On March 9th, Brandon Ingram was diagnosed with a mild strain in his right hamstring and will be reevaluated in 7 to 10 days. So I think, if I'm not mistaken, that should mean that he won't be able to play against us. Obviously, CJ won't be able to play against us. Actually, I don't know, with health and safety protocols, he might be able to. He might be able to come in at the end of the week.
Do that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised to see that he had gotten put into health and safety protocols as well. But he honestly might be able to. He probably should be able to come in, because that was March 10th. That was on Thursday. If we go Thursday to Thursday, and then he comes in on Friday to play against us, we might be seeing CJ.
He had a decent game against us last time. I think it was only a couple games after he got traded to New Orleans. So,
as of March 5th, Zion Williamson has returned to New Orleans and is cleared to participate in basketball activities. So there's a chance that even if we don't see him on Friday, that we might be able to see him next Saturday. On February 10th, Larry Nance had to undergo surgery and is expected to need up to 6 weeks of recovery time. That was on February 10th. So that should be 3, 4, 5. We should technically be getting close to seeing Larry Nance come back in within this next week or two. So again, same thing with him. Probably won't be seeing him this Friday, but we might be seeing him next week. And then Kiara Lewis Jr. has been out with the season-ending torn ACL. So a lot of the definitely the big 3 names for New Orleans, as well as one solid role player for them, could be our chance to make sure that we take a W against them on Friday if those guys are not in.
Yeah.
And then go ahead.
It's hard to project out that far because of like it's a whole week from now. Anything could happen. Sometimes like last week we were talking about, oh, LeBron just came off a 50-point game and then he just sat against us, and like some of these teams are tanking, some of them are resting. Like what in the world were we doing? Why are we resting Keldon if he's not hurt? Like if DeJounte has a knee thing and Jakob has a back thing, like why are we tanking? Was that a tanking move, or like, well, I guess we just won't play Keldon either. But like teams are gonna do stuff like that, like down the stretch, like they're gonna rest people. It's been a long season, whatever the case. Was that all the injuries, Jake?
I have the OKC injury report right here, but real quick, RR210TX said that should the Spurs just tank another 2 games away from the 10th of the standings, I'll tell you that I don't think any of us, our brother Chris isn't on here right now, but I don't think any of us are on Team Tank. I think we're all trying to fight for that play-in seed. My personal thing is that I want us to knock out the Lakers. Knock the Lakers out of the play-in. Just don't let them make the playoffs at all. They don't have their pick. I want to see the Lakers fail. So if that means that we're going to make the play-in, then I'm all for it. I'm all for us to be one of the 10 positions to keep the Lakers out. I assume that my brothers here are also in agreement with me to say we always go for the win. So
yeah, absolutely.
Shout out to RR210TX for coming on to talking. Yeah, exactly. Don't like the fakers. Don't like the Lakers.
So I will say, I guess I'll just go ahead and go into this thing. Like for those who I guess are interested in like the tanking, Sacramento is 3 games behind us in the loss column, so we would have to lose all 3 games this week to just drop below them. I don't see us catching up to Thunder and Rockets, like if we just like have like a losing record throughout. But we're the 12th seed in the West right now at 26-42. The Blazers are 26-40 at the 11th seed. New Orleans is 27-40, and then the Lakers are 29-37. So again, like the weeks are so like week by week. If you like blow the week, you could fall into the standings. If you had a good week, you could jump up a couple spots to be in the play-in. It looks like it's going to go right down to the wire, and we won't have like a clear vision. But the Kings are 2-8 in their last 10 games. And I don't know if they're trying to win with that Sabonis like trade and like that. They beat us last week or a couple weeks ago. But like everybody else, we're 4-6 in our last 10. The Trailblazers are 4-6. I think they're free falling though. I think they're trying to lose.
And if I'm not mistaken,
I think so too.
If I'm not mistaken, that 4-6 in the last 10 is a 6-game losing streak. I'm pretty sure the Blazers are on a losing streak. So
and the New Orleans is 4-6. So all of those teams and the Lakers are 3-7. So we're all pretty bad. We're all losing. So whoever like decides to like get on a little winning streak can really take command and like get into these playing spots. Just for those people who are like looking at the standings.
So the Blazers just ended the losing streak last night.
Yeah,
but before that, I knew
he said that Drew had a career high. But this the 210 210 Texas, like, yeah, this is my point right here. This is exactly why I don't think we need to tank. I think that we can, even if we make the play-in, we have 3 first-round picks that somebody's going to find valuable. And if we need to trade up, like if we fall back to, I guess we would be out of the lottery. Like if we were to make the play-in, or if we were to make the playoffs.
If we make the playoffs, yeah, that pushes us out of the lottery.
Right. It would push us out.
If we make play-in and still lose,
then we'll still have a lottery pick.
Yeah, that still puts us lottery.
So I think those hold value. Like if we're gonna draft up, like what we need. We need size. We need somebody at the 4 or 5, and we're gonna have like if it takes all 3 picks, dude, I would give them to whoever wants. And we could still, if we could get up there,
we could still make play-in at 10 seed, and pretty much have like 11th seed or 11th/12th like lottery odds, if I'm not mistaken. Because even if we make play-in and still like win or
just like last year.
lose, like that still puts us just out of top 10 to put that stuff in there, right? Who do y'all think would replace Becky at her spot coming into this next year? I agree with you. I would say that Manu's probably the one person that I'm like, oh, I would love to see him actually be part of the coaching staff next year. See him suited up and with us at the games.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a hard one for me because it's like we've had Becky on the bench this whole time, and that's the one you're grooming to be Pop's replacement, and now you have to replace Becky, and it's like, oh wait, like I don't know how they go about finding these people, but Monty's already been like part of the organization this whole year as that personnel. He helps out and stuff like that, so hopefully that'd be like an easy transition, like to Jake's point, or into our 210. That I don't know if Monty would want to coach though. Like, what do you guys think? Would Monty want to be a coach?
That's the only bad thing, right? We talk about it. I know they love the game of basketball, but they got families just like we do, right? And you're like, I don't know, dude, go babysit these grown men, or sit at home and babysit my children. You know what I think? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you know that weighs heavy on them. So like, and Manu is like a big family guy. You always see him on vacation. He actually came to our hometown. Remember, he brought his kids over here to go swimming. But like, it's really hard for me to see Manu, even though like that's what I want, and that's what I feel like would benefit our guys. It's just so hard because he's a family guy, right? And I think he would rather just be at home with his little kids.
Yeah, I get that. At the same time, I think Manu's probably the one out of the big three that is like closest to be that coach, to be that guy that would be part of the personnel like that. And maybe it isn't going to be within this like next year because, like you said, he's still with his kids, and I'm sure with the way that they have his stuff going right now, he's not necessarily he doesn't have to be with the organization all the time. I'm sure he still gets plenty of time to be able to go home and be with his family. And I'm sure that they're all here in San Antonio, like doing their thing. So it's just like he's probably just is able to just stay in San Antonio with the position that he's at right now, and he might just want to stay like that. He might just want to stay where he can help the organization at home. But when they leave to go out for their trips, then he gets to still stay in and be with his people, you know. Yeah, with the draft, I think that we should be looking for a forward, somebody who can add that size at the 4 position. Just another big but he still needs to be able to space the floor in that sense. We still need somebody to be able to.
The kids nowadays, they're so versatile and athletic; they can move around.
They can do it all. But I think finding a power forward like that will be exactly what's needed within the draft. But once again,
Jake,
go ahead, Juan.
Get back to the week looking forward. The Minnesota game is Monday, and they're 8-2 in their last 10 games. OKC is 3-7, and I had touched on it. New Orleans is 4-6 in their last 10. So the Minnesota game is going to be tough. I know they're rolling. I know Cat kind of gives us troubles. We've never really had too much troubles with Anthony Edwards. Hopefully that doesn't jinx us. I'll go ahead and knock on wood right now, but like that's just something to think about. Minnesota is rolling right now, 8-2 in their last 10. And then obviously OKC's at the bottom, and New Orleans is also in that play-in race with us.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like this week overall is going to be a very, very tough week because it's like, yeah, Minnesota's on a roll. I feel like OKC always gives us a run for our money. And New Orleans is the game of the week that we have to be looking out for the most. Real quick, I'm gonna go to the Thunder's injury report, and then we can start wrapping it up from there. But Derek Favors, as of March 12th, was out against the Grizzlies due to his back. Kenrich Williams was out against the Grizzlies with the knee problem. There's no timetable about when those guys are going to come back. Trey Mann failed to practice Saturday due to his ankle and is out day-to-day as of March 12th. And then we have like Ty Jerome Ty Jerome, Lou Dort, and Mike Muscala, who all like were out for the season from March 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, Lou Dort underwent successful surgery, missed the rest of the season. Ty Jerome will miss the rest of the season. Mike Muscala will miss the rest of the season. Josh Giddey, as of March 5th, does not have an update, but he's supposed to be out for, quote, a couple of weeks. So he might be in, he might not be in. I assume probably not. And then Jerome Robinson Earl is out for the next 6 weeks as of February 3rd. So he could be coming in, he might not be. But
so it just looks like that with all the injuries on other teams, like this week should be a very good week for us. Dude, like you said, like none of us want to lose. We need to put together an undefeated week in my eyes. Like we need to. If
we'll go
that's
ahead
what
and
we're
get right
doing.
into the weekly predictions, Josh.
Yeah. Well,
What are your weekly predictions, Josh?
Don't even ask me. I'm tired of y'all asking me. You already know what I'm going to say.
3-0.
Yeah. I don't like to lose. And I feel like we are capable of winning. That's the only bad thing. Sometimes, like, if we're playing the Lakers and they're at full strength and Russell's playing, like, outrageous, then, okay, we might lose that game. But that's not the case, and that's hasn't been the case all year. I feel like we could beat anybody and everybody, so give me the 3 dubs.
Juan, what's your prediction?
My prediction is going to be 2-1. I think the Minnesota game is going to get us. And who knows what our injury
But you just knocked
is.
on wood.
I know. Who knows what our injury stuff is? I wasn't expecting DeJounte and Jakob to still. If they're hurt, they're hurt. But if it's just like kind of resting stuff, then I don't understand like how like it's just game to game how we just like have to sit guys, especially like Keldon like resting or something like that. But I'm gonna say 2-1. Jake said like Jake pointed to the New Orleans game being like the game of the week. It's not gonna matter if we lose the 2 games before. Like it's not gonna be a game of the week in that sense. So we have to take care of business. We can't have we can't go 0-3, let alone just have like a losing record this week. We have to be on the winning side of it.
Yeah. Give me 1 second here. Chris also putting his thing 3-0 for the week, saying that Minnesota is the biggest test competition wise. New Orleans the biggest test in terms of importance, and no Spurs killer in Dort is an instant W. So, real quick, Josh put 3-0. Chris says 3-0.
I love the outlook in the sense of like New Orleans. Like if we get to that point where we take care of business the first 2 games, and you can take down New Orleans and get a game, catch them or jump them, whatever the case may be at that time. Like the importance of that, if the guys can step up and handle business when like it needs to be.
Finish the season off right?
Yeah, that'd be a true sense of like or true test of character. What type of winners we got on this team, which it's why you don't tank, which is why you don't lose, because you got to build winning, you got to build culture. These guys cannot get used to losing, and that I agree that'd be really big to see like where we are standing by the time the New Orleans game comes.
For sure. I was agreeing with Juan on the whole record sense, but I think I've also got myself to a point where I'm also going to say 3-0 on the week. I want to see us beat Minnesota. If we're going to lose a game, I think it's going to be against Minnesota. But if we can beat Minnesota, then I think we can run through this week, be able to beat Minnesota, beat OKC, and take care of business against New Orleans. So I have myself on 3-0, Chris 3-0, Josh 3-0, Juan's differing from everybody else and having his 2-1. This is a definitely a take that I was thinking about too on just because seeing Josh Richardson start over Doug or start in place of Doug when he was out. Doug rolled his ankle.
It says Spurs need a push. Keep DeJounte, Devin Vassell, Josh Richardson, Keldon Johnson, and Pirtle as the starting lineup. I think that's a decent lineup, especially with Doug snapping his ankle in half is what it looked like.
Yeah. So if Doug will most likely, I'd assume Doug's going to be out within this Monday game against Minnesota.
Mhm.
I wouldn't mind seeing good old Jay Rich come in and uh put up some solid numbers in our starting lineup. Our good buddy, our 210 TX does say that he's got 2-1 on the week, so that's cool to see his predictions. Shout out to our 210 TX. Thank
Gotta
you
at least have
for
gotta at least have winning records each week if you want to make a plan.
yeah
Absolutely.
to
Undefeated.
show the scoreboard, the updated scoreboard. Me and Juan are now tied. Since what was the week? It was 2-2 last week, and Juan and Chris both got a point. Josh lost another point because he said 4-0. And I didn't move anywhere because I put 3-1. But me and Juan are now tied on the leaderboard. Where the mighty have fallen, because now I'm down here, uh, fighting for points with Juan. So we'll see what the next couple weeks are going for. But
I
Yeah,
already
so
told
yeah.
you. If we make the play-in, I'll go straight to first. I don't want to hear no shit.
just
Oh man,
just to clarify, whoever the bottom points person is gets like a pie in the face or something of that sort.
that is the bet that
Oh, I
we
forgot
came
about
up with at the beginning of the season. So uh, yeah, Chris, great show this week. Good discussions all around. Go Spurs, go, guys. Do y'all have any last things that y'all want to bring out before I start wrapping it up?
Yeah, like let's see, what's today? Today's the
13th.
what is today? The 13th, March 13th. This is my draft pick for this year. I'm gonna say Keegan Murray. That's who I want right now. That's who I want at the Spurs to draft. If we don't go the top three.
Keegan Murray is a pick that I've heard a lot within these last couple of days. I don't really know too much about basketball, college basketball. I am going to be very much watching a lot of March Madness this month, this year. My Texas Tech is going to be doing their thing. Hopefully, I get some good upsets. There's a cool guy that y'all should start looking out for. His name is Kevin McCullough. He's from San Antonio. He went to Wagner, and he's on the team doing his thing. But hopefully Texas Tech pulls out some pretty good W's for this March Madness month. But guys, before I wrap this up, make sure that you do catch us on Sundays at 10 a.m. Where we do go live to the 4 platforms of Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. You can catch us live on all 4 of those platforms, but if you cannot catch us during the live podcast, you can always watch the VODs right after the fact. Make sure that you do follow us on Twitter at Heroes Half Court, where we do talk Spurs basketball on the near daily. We love the interactions with people on Spurs Twitterverse, so do not be afraid to have discourse with us. We enjoy it. But with that being said, guys, I hope everybody has a wonderful Sunday, and we are out.